When you first look at a desk, it might seem like nothing more than a flat surface, a place where pens, papers, and gadgets gather in an everyday shuffle. But imagine transforming that ordinary plane into a stage for something both functional and mesmerizing, something that elevates the mundane into a piece of art you interact with every day. This is where abstract wooden desk organizers come in, a realm where utility and aesthetic intrigue collide, where each groove, curve, and edge tells a story that goes far beyond mere storage. These aren't your typical cubby holes or uninspired trays. These are wooden constructions that breathe life into your workspace, taking scraps, slabs, and slices of wood and shaping them into sculptures that also happen to hold your daily essentials. Picture a single block of reclaimed oak. At first, it's just a chunk of wood, its surface rough, its grain chaotic, its edges imperfect. And yet, when an artisan approaches it with intent, the same block can transform into a series of interlocking forms, angular slots for pens, circular inlays for paper clips, subtle depressions for sticky notes, each contour deliberate, each angle carefully considered to create a rhythm that feels organic, yet sophisticated. There's an invisible conversation happening between the wood and the designer, a dialogue in which nature's randomness is harnessed and celebrated rather than suppressed. And when you run your hand across the finished piece, you feel it, the warmth of the wood, the subtle variance of color, the tactile pleasure of a surface that wasn't mass-produced in a factory but coaxed into being through patient craftsmanship. Abstract wooden desk organizers don't just organize, they challenge the way you see order itself. Instead of the rigid symmetry of plastic compartments, you encounter shapes that bend expectations. One edge rises like a miniature hill, another curve swoops gently, cradling a notebook or phone. There may be a hollow carved into the side, just large enough for a pen to rest in, and another small niche that seems almost accidental but proves indispensable once you discover it. And yet, the abstraction isn't purely decorative, it's functional poetry. Each nook and slot, while aesthetically intriguing, is conceived to hold something essential, to streamline the chaos of daily life without ever screaming for attention. The balance between art and utility is delicate, and when it's achieved, the desk organizer ceases to be a mere object. It becomes a silent partner in your productivity, a companion to your workflow. What makes these wooden desk organizers even more compelling is the story embedded in the material itself. Reclaimed wood often carries marks of its past life, weathered knots, subtle stains, lines of old-growth rings that hint at decades or centuries of slow maturation. When incorporated into an abstract design, these imperfections are celebrated. A gouge or a dent might inspire the placement of a circular holder, a dark streak might define the path of a pen groove. The result is a piece that is simultaneously unique and purposeful, one that would be impossible to replicate exactly, because it is born of the specific quirks of its material. Every time you glance at it on your desk, you are reminded not just of functionality but of time, of history, of the beauty in things that are not manufactured to perfection. In a world where minimalism can sometimes feel cold or impersonal, abstract wooden desk organizers offer a tactile warmth, a human touch. They invite interaction. Sliding a paper into a precisely carved slot, nudging a pen into a curved cradle, adjusting a sticky note so it fits into a recessed groove, these small actions become meditative. Your workspace is no longer a neutral surface, it's a landscape you inhabit, an environment that subtly encourages mindfulness. Even the act of cleaning the desk changes. Rather than hastily shoving items into a drawer or a plastic tray, you engage with the object itself, noticing its lines, its weight, the scent of the wood, and in the process, you create a rhythm that makes organization feel like a gentle, creative act rather than a chore. And for those who take the craft further, customization opens up infinite possibilities. Different wood species, from cherry and maple to reclaimed barnwood, offer a range of colors and textures that can shift the mood of the workspace dramatically. Layers can be added to create height variations, slanted planes can guide the eye in particular directions, and unexpected voids can surprise you with hidden storage. Some designers incorporate subtle embellishments, a thin brass inlay here, a hand-painted accent there, without undermining the purity of the wood. These additions, when done thoughtfully, elevate the piece into a tactile sculpture that doubles as an organizational tool, blurring the boundary between art and function in ways that a standard desk tray could never hope to achieve. The beauty of abstract wooden desk organizers lies not just in their design, but in their capacity to reflect personality. A desk becomes an extension of the individual who inhabits it. Those who favor fluid, organic shapes might choose pieces with flowing curves and rounded compartments. Those who are drawn to geometry and sharp lines might embrace intersecting planes and angular grooves. In every scenario, the organizer is a canvas, a space for personal expression that merges seamlessly with everyday utility. You aren't just buying a storage solution, you're investing in a statement, a piece that transforms the mundane act of tidying your workspace into a dialogue with craftsmanship, design, and your own aesthetic sensibilities. When you finally place your abstract wooden desk organizer on your desk, its presence is quietly commanding. It doesn't scream for attention with bright colors or flashy gimmicks. Its appeal is subtle, grounded, intrinsic. It reminds you that organization doesn't have to be sterile, that beauty doesn't have to be impractical. Over time, as you interact with it day after day, it takes on a life of its own. The wood darkens slightly under your touch, the edges soften, and the piece becomes inseparable from your daily routine. Each small item you place inside it, the pen you always reach for, the notes you write in a hurry, the paper clips you never quite remember to pick up, becomes part of a rhythm orchestrated by the lines, curves, and recesses of the organizer itself. And in that rhythm, there is a quiet satisfaction, a reminder that even the smallest objects in your environment can bring meaning, aesthetic pleasure, and a sense of intentionality to the chaos of life. In the end, abstract wooden desk organizers are more than tools, they are companions. Abstract wooden desk organizers turn a workspace from purely functional into a place of quiet artistry. They're not just boxes or trays, they're carefully designed, sculptural objects that hold pens, notes, paper clips, and gadgets while also giving your desk an aesthetic rhythm. Most begin as simple blocks of wood, chosen for grain, tone, and texture. Walnut, maple, cherry, or reclaimed wood can all be used, each bringing a distinct character, warm, pale, dark, or streaked with history. The wood is cut, carved, and assembled into compartments, slots, and towers, sometimes straight and geometric, other times curved or spiraled in abstract shapes. The goal isn't just organization, it's visual flow. Even a simple pen holder can lead the eye through curves or angles, guiding movement across the desk. The compartments vary, some deep for notebooks, some shallow for sticky notes, some narrow for pens. Sometimes layers of wood are stacked like puzzle pieces, giving height and shadow to a normally flat space. Others interlock, creating a sense of balance and movement, a microcosm of abstract sculpture. These pieces work as standalone objects or grouped together, depending on your desk size and function. Finishes are usually matte oils or waxes, bringing out the grain and softening edges so the organizers invite touch. The natural texture reminds you that wood is alive, a tactile contrast to metal pens, glass screens, or plastic stationery. The beauty comes from subtle imperfection, slight variation in grain, tiny knots, or uneven color shifts, which gives each piece its own personality. Placement matters. A single abstract organizer can anchor a corner of your desk, or a trio can create rhythm across the surface. They guide how you interact with the desk, where your hand rests, how objects are arranged, even how you pause and look at your workspace. In a minimalist environment, the organizer's lines, layers, and textures provide the only visual weight, giving the desk balance without clutter. The craft behind them is precise. Each cut, join, and joint must align so that the shapes appear intentional. But even in this precision, the wood's natural irregularities shine. No two organizers are ever identical, each reflects a hand-guided process, celebrating both the material and the maker's eye. By day, abstract wooden desk organizers quietly hold your tools. By evening, with soft ambient light or a single desk lamp, they cast subtle shadows across the desk, turning ordinary stationery into a composition of shapes, textures, and tones. They aren't just functional, they are meditative. Their presence reminds you that even in a workspace, there is room for artistry, rhythm, and calm. When you step back at the end of the day, the desk feels grounded, organized, and alive. The organizers don't shout for attention, they frame your space, guiding your eye and hand, offering both order and beauty. In their quiet abstraction, they transform an ordinary desk into a small landscape of thought, intention, and crafted wood.